risk implications of these new workforce dynamics. Follow along and be sure to share your questions or concerns in the comments. Welcome to the download. Today we're talking about the future of work.
So, are we going to work from home forever? Will you ever have a business trip again? While much is still unknown about the future, a recent article from Industry Week spells out a few predictions from the analysts at Gartner. Let's review a few of them. Number 1, the future of work will be more remote. This will allow organizations to cut fixed costs and allow them to reinvest in other areas of employee engagement. It'll also allow HR to recruit and acquire talent from across the globe. 2, there will be a focus on resiliency, not just business efficiency. Third, and finally, organizations will have to collect more data on their employees as a way to prioritize the health of all. However, as we've discussed previously on the download, this will introduce security and risk concerns that organizations will have to address in the future.
So we've learned that remote work is likely here to stay. But what happens if you're in manufacturing or another position that requires physical staff? For years, experts have predicted that robots will start taking human jobs. Will this become a reality in the new normal? As Tony Karam will explain, automation may become an integral component of an organization's new business resiliency strategy.
And what I hear from organizations is, they're really looking to accelerate some of their use of automation in robotics just to build resiliency.
It's worth noting that when it comes to machine learning, the robots and algorithms are only as effective as the data that powers them. As Tony Karam has shared with us separately, data is based on what you know. 12 months ago, no one predicted that a health crisis would be upon us. As an industry, much work still needs to be done to help adapt algorithms for times of change.
Aside from the discussion about automation, the future of work will require time and investment in identity and access management. Security should always be a top priority, but identity access shouldn't cause friction for users either. And don't forget about access governance. The recertification of access rights is more important today than ever before. As Tony Karam will next explain, there are risk challenges ahead for organizations that look to embed remote work as part of their new normal.
It all starts with access, secure access control, or having secure access. Some of the recommendations beyond the basic blocking and tackling for organizations is make sure they have good governance over user access. They're evaluating secure access policies and authentication methods. Part of that is recertifying rights and entitlements more frequently, making sure that they can support this evolving or revolving door workplace with automated provisioning and deprovisioning of users of this dynamic workforce. They want to avoid granting excess entitlements in accumulation of access that can commonly occur when people are coming in and out, but not just that, when they're moving around.
Shifting work to a completely remote environment has required new technologies and platforms, but this creates new risk challenges and islands of access. Often, the need for recertification of access and entitlement data far outpaces what an identity team can handle. In a recent RSA blog post, Jerry Abul outlined 4 priority areas of governance to focus on as employees adapt to remote work environments. Number 1, enable risk-aware context-driven governance. Number 2, sort meaningful information by organizing activities by risk, priority, and context. Number 3, discover outliers and inappropriate access by using a risk-based approach to quickly identify outlying access requests. And number 4, automate processes.
So, we've talked about steps to take to improve access governance. But in a conversation about the future of work and remote work, we of course have to address identity access as well. As Dr. Zulfikar Ramzan will next explain, organizations need to widely adopt multi-factor authentication as a way to give employees more options to securely remote wherever they are.
A software-based one-time password token may not be the right approach. Maybe something based on Touch ID or push-to-touch may be a better alternative for them. And so that's the first key element, is thinking about multi-factor authentication, but in the broadest sense, and enabling that for the remote workforce. The second area, which I think is crucial and goes alongside of it, is identity governance and lifecycle. The reality is that today we'll see people in a variety of situations switching roles. Either you may have to hire temporary workers to fill a certain set of needs in the short term because of people being out sick. You may have a situation where existing workers may be moving into different roles. And you may have a situation in which after a while, some of those temporary workers or other workers leave an organization. So you've got what we call the joiner, mover, leaver problem.
Today, we covered a range of issues pertaining to the future of work and the security and risk consequences that come with remote work. What are your thoughts on the new normal? Is your organization ready to address the necessary identity access or access governance challenges? Leave us a comment with your opinion.
On the next episode of The Download, we'll talk about securing telemedicine. As patients and physicians embrace telehealth as part of their new normal, we'll talk to a range of cybersecurity and risk experts about what it'll take to secure these platforms and ensure the privacy of valuable health data. You won't want to miss it. Until then, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time on The Download.